Good morning, and we are doing well. Actually, first a small disclaimer. I aired in the specialty restaurants numbers the last couple of days. A couple of you pointed it out on Twitter as well, and apologies for that. It's entirely my mistake. Now, hopefully, rather try not to repeat it again. Let's take stock of today's trade setup, though. First, the global news flow. China's youth unemployment hits a record high, and in more bad news, the May manufacturing PMI has come in at 48.8 versus estimated of 49.5. Now, to my mind, this means two things. One is that the recovery, of course, is not as strong, and could it spell bad news for global demand and metals demand. Alternatively, people might think that this will lead to some easing of the conditions, monetary conditions in China, and that might actually be positive eventually. Difficult to say which way, but I would treat this as tough news from a Chinese perspective. Oil has sunk below the $70 a barrel on weak demand signals ahead of the OPEC Plus meet, and Goldman is planning another round of job cuts amidst the chill in the banking space. Now, all of this didn't lead to the U.S. markets, of course, not doing all that well, because the U.S. markets had a flattish move. Nasdaq was up about 0.3%, and of course, the AI stocks continued their surge, with Nvidia now hit over $1 trillion of market capitalization. That's quite something. It's probably one of the only 10 companies to do that in history, and that's quite something really as to what's happened in the AI space, and Nvidia in particular, just the kind of surge that we've had there. But Nvidia notwithstanding, the US markets were okay, currently not that great. Oil has sunk. I would reckon the SGX Nifty should be showing a sign of some bit of a pullback maybe, but we've had a good start, good days per se, the last few, and therefore the momentum is skewed on the upside. But for today, we might have a bit of a downtick on open. Now, the point is how to deal with this small downticks that come in. There was an intraday downtick yesterday as well. Let's look at the supports. Now, if you look at the bank Nifty, the put call ratio has increased to 1.21 from 1.1, and the supports are moving higher. I mean, I was looking at that's the trade setup for the day today. If you just look at the option writers, then the bank Nifty support has moved from 44,300 odd to 44,425 odd. So there's a bit of a higher support level for the bank Nifty, which is, to my mind, the principal driver still, despite the fact that Reliance may be doing what it is doing or others are doing what they are doing. Foreign investors continue to be net buyers for the seventh day, and bought equities worth 2,085 crores. Frankly, this would be maybe the 45th day or what have you, or the 35th day, had it not been for that one odd day in between when they turn net sellers. But the strong buy momentum continues. And when I looked at pockets, when I looked at what technical analysts have said in their notes or alternative research companies have said in their notes, a pocket that stands out quite surprisingly is liquor stocks. They're witnessing rising delivery volumes compared to monthly averages, and therefore watch out for United Spirits, United Breweries, some others. There are small cap names, for example, like Som Distilleries, which are moving, but they've had a fairly checkered past, so difficult to kind of even talk about them with any kind of conviction. But based on what brokerages are saying, watch out for the liquor names, the two key names, which is breweries and spirits. Pretty interesting kind of delivery patterns that are happening there. Clutch of results today as well, which will report, but let's get to the stocks that will react on open in the session today. And I'm starting off with Lemon Tree. It's not the biggest name, and it's probably a stock that may not necessarily move too much, but frankly, the numbers are really strong. Yes, they are in line with estimates, but they are really strong. 111% uptick in revenues, 252 crores versus estimates of 250, which is fine. EBITDA at up 385% at 142 crores. The estimates were 136. EBITDA margins at 56.2. The estimates were 54.5. Even 54.5 was a very strong estimate. They've beaten that too. And look at that. The corresponding quarter at 24.4% EBITDA margin. Net profit at 59 crores versus a loss of 39 crores. Estimates for 47.6 crores. But you would accuse me of looking at it on a YOY basis. Just the fact that the internals are so strong is quite stunning. It's the best ever gross ARR, best ever EBITDA, best ever PBT, best ever PAT for Lemon Tree. Gross ARR was at 5824 versus 5738 in quarter 3. So even sequentially, the ARRs have moved up, the occupancies have moved up. 73.6% occupancy versus 67.6% in Q3. Two caveats though to trading a hotel stock. One, look at the valuations. It's trading at a TTMP of 53.9. And the TTMP in this case is not entirely misleading because they've had a very strong FY23 per se. Almost all quarters have been good. So you can't say that it's coming out of a slump and therefore TTM is not a good P. Yes, you look at the forward P and maybe the forward P will be slightly cheaper than this, but forward P will be what, 45 times. That's not cheap per se for a cyclical space, part one. And I reckon that Q1 will be a bit soft. I mean, like I've said for the last so many days, just trying to book some hotels on my own for a short trip, and you're getting vacancies, you're getting places and good places to stay in and multiple chains, and that's the telling point. It's not sold out for 7 days later. That's the key thing. So uh, occupancies aren't exactly 120% or thereabouts is the limited point I'm trying to make. Let's see, but good numbers, maybe reacts. um, HDFC Life, again, maybe reacts, maybe gets bought into at lower levels, but Aberdeen, as per Bloomberg, Aberdeen Mauritius is going to sell 1.66% stake in HDFC Life, offered at 563 to 585, which is a price range of 0 to 3.75% discount to the last close. Aberdeen selling its entire stake in HDFC Life as per the terms of the sheet obtained by Bloomberg. So do watch out for HDFC Life. I dare say do watch out for Sona Comstar as well. The promoter is selling some stake there. I haven't given graphics to the same, but in Sona Comstar's case, promoter Aureus Investment is planning to sell about 3.25% stake to Sona BLW. In Sona BLW, Precision Forgings through a block deal today. I don't have the numbers in terms of what's the discount, but I would suspect it'll be at a discount, and therefore do watch out for that too, in addition to HDFC Life as a deal stock. Then Coal India is the other one, which will increase its prices of, which has announced that it will increase its prices of high-grade coal by 8% applicable across subsidiaries, leading to a revenue uptick of 2703 crores. More importantly, it helps combat cost inflation, and I would presume that in some fashion, in this case, other things remaining constant, this 8% uptick in price flows down to EBITDA, flows down to bottom line in that sense, except for all the other things that happen in between. But it's kind of accretive, I would suspect, other things remaining constant, to earnings as well by that much. I would suspect Coal India will be a stock that will react positively today. Yes, some of this gets nullified because of the wage increases, etc. But a price hike is effectively straight away transmitted per se, right? And therefore, there is an impact on Coal India positive. I would suspect that it could well be a stock that could open sharply higher today. Adani Ports, revenues up 40% at 5797 above estimates. EBITDA at 3270 crores above estimates, but EBITDA margins slightly below estimates simply because the pace of growth of revenues was also very strong. And the net profit is up just a mere 5% on account of an impairment of 1273 crores that they accounted for due to the sale of the Myanmar assets that the company did in Q4. Now, on the face of it, very strong numbers, but on the EBITDA margin front, below estimates, net profit below estimates. So that's part one. Part two, the volume numbers that they've cited, and 390 million tons is very strong. So that is something that could work with analysts who track the stock. All in all, robust quarter, partly in line with estimates, partly above and partly below estimates. Not quite sure about whether this will have a very strong positive or a very strong negative reaction. So reserving my comments on that. Also should reserve my comments on that because standard disclosure, Adani Ports is a part of the Adani Group, which holds 14% stake in Quintillion Business Media, which is the owner of BQ Prime, which is the platform on which you are watching this trade setup. Nevertheless, please keep in mind, I'm not the one to give any kind of recommendations. One, I'm not allowed to do that. Two, I'm not equipped to do that. So merely bringing you the color of what different brokerages would be saying about stocks on the trade setup every single day. Mankind Pharma, revenues up 18.9%, EBITDA up 46%, EBITDA margins at 20.3 versus 16.5, and net profit up 52% at 293 crores. It had a solid listing. It had to come out with a solid quarter, as we spoke about yesterday or day before. And boy, they've come out with a solid quarter. Certainly a strong show. And justifies maybe in part the kind of uptick that it has had, should please the street. Mankind Pharma's numbers. Aegis Logistics, the revenue numbers were a bit muted, you have to say, just 2.42%, but decent EBITDA performance, decent net profit performance relative to estimates. May react slightly positively. Prestige Estates, again, if you look at the reported numbers relative to last quarter, you might think on certain counts, excuse me, that they haven't done well. Net profit, for example, down 46.5%, but much above estimates. Margins, EBITDA margin much above estimates. EBITDA above estimates. Revenues 2631 above estimates. Relative to the other internals, the numbers were okay, and therefore you have to figure if you want to call this a very strong set of numbers or an okay set of numbers. In the residential business was very good. The only caveat for Prestige Estates is that leverage on account of commercial capex has certainly spiked for them. They've issued some NCDs worth 2,000 crores and all of that in all probability to account for this capex. But that's the bit of a pickle when it comes to Prestige Estates. Action Construction Equipment, revenues up 20% at 613 above estimates. EBITDA 55% higher at 73 crores. Margins at 11.9 versus 9.25. Net profit up 33% at 47 crores, in line with estimates. So good, strong quarter, may react. Greenply, weak quarter, but weak quarter on the net profit front. Otherwise, it's okay. Revenue up 4.5% to 469. The estimates were 452, so in line. EBITDA margins above estimates, EBITDA above estimates, and net profit, because the company reported a loss of 16 crores due to sale of assets in Myanmar, which the company had to, sorry, again, I don't know why I said had to, did in quarter four. The net profit shows this downtick of 61%. Otherwise, it would actually have been a stronger quarter on the revenue, on the net profit front as well. But all in all, not a bad quarter for Greenply. But a bad quarter for Graphite India, bad quarter for KRBL. Graphite India, revenue is down at 8.5, estimates to 722. So there it's okay. But below that, EBITDA 62 crores versus 82 crores estimated. EBITDA margins 10.4 versus 11.4% estimated. Net profit down 70%, 29 crores versus 71 crores estimated. Wobbly quarter, not the greatest of numbers for Graphite. KRBL, revenues up 29%, but EBITDA down, EBITDA margin so much lower, 11.2 versus 16.5. Net profit up 8%, maybe due to some one-offs. And sorry, I don't have account for that, but just the EBITDA margin number looks very wobbly and could hurt the stock today. Aurobindo Pharma has gotten a tentative NDA approval for HIV drugs. The stock is on a tear off late. Let's see if this helps the stock further. Some interesting bulk deals today include a Welspun, KIMS, and Kalpataru Power Transmission. In Kalpataru Power, ICICI Prudential has bought a large stake, which the promoter sold. Some others would have also bought. I, for now, have this information about ICICI Prudential. KIMS, General Atlantic sold about 2.89% stake, and Welspun, the promoters, Enterprise itself has bought about 10 lakh shares, 0.72% at 151. Brokerage calls include a JK Cement, which has been cut to a hold at Jefferies, price target 3260. Or a Gujarat Pipavav, wherein it's been maintained a buy, but the price target has been lowered to 128 from 143. So these are a few names that you all certainly should watch out for. There is RHI Magnesita, wherein Roan Capital has announced its intention to acquire shares of 20% of the issued and outstanding share capital of RHI Magnesita Global. Now, keep in mind, if the board considers this and if there is a change in the management, could it lead to a compulsory open offer for RHI Magnesita India as well? Maybe it could. So that's a stock that you should keep on your radar. Obviously, nobody has clarity as yet, but it might have a bit of a spike today. Might. I don't know for sure. I may be completely wrong here. Please be mindful of that. So that's one interesting name to watch out for. I will watch out for what else. I'm just trying to see if there is PTC. I thought the numbers looked okay. The operating performance looked strong. So maybe that's a stock that could do well too. So viewers, these are a few names. Coal India, certainly out there. Elementary, certainly out there. Sona and HDFC Life, certainly out there. And then a clutch of other result names as well to monitor. It's a day of some interesting conversations on BQ Prime as well. We'll have Mark Matthews on Talking Point today. He had back in March mentioned that India is the best Asian market to own. Now with Japan doing what it is doing, has his view changed? I think it'll be important to talk to him about it. So he joins in at 10 a.m. So that's certainly a conversation you want to watch out for. And then some uh, earnings conversation, Kulin Lalbhai on Arvind Fashion, Irfan Razak on Prestige Group, and Sudarshan Kasturi of V-Guard joining at 1 p.m. to talk about the numbers. So all of these to be watched out for. Is also the mutual fund show talking about the value fund strategy with Suresh Soni of Baroda BNP Paribas, Kshitij Mahajan, as well as Nikhil Kothari of Etika Wealth and Complete Circle. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup, viewers. Have a great day ahead.